This is a video from Asmongold Clips. It's called "This is Serious and I must address this now."
Might as well read today's melty as well. What is this? There's a melty of today. Oh no. What is this? Okay,
What's
so Asmon Grift, and it's a video of me talking. Okay. Israel's wars are not our wars. True. I think that we play too big of a role in other countries' military. I also wouldn't support any sort of collateral civilian damage, bombing things like the U.S. bombing things that are inside of urban areas. I wonder what changed. I mean, I'm sure it probably wasn't the 30,000 civilians that they mass murdered and body bagged on the sides of the street.
They're not American citizens. They're not American citizens. I understand. Yes, the IRGC is bad. Iran is bad. I even think that you could probably argue, hey, war against Iran is justified for the sake of, democracy, right? Because the majority of Iran doesn't support the IRGC. They want to see the IRGC overthrown. So, from a democratic as well as self-deterministic perspective, yes, it makes sense to, not make sense, but a war is logical, against Iran to free the people. But I will say that, just because a government is really bad at killing its own citizens doesn't more or less justify collateral damage. Collateral damage is a part of war. If you are afraid to admit that or whatever, then you are just you're too much of a wimp for war. That's what it is. You're too much of a wimp for war. You can't tolerate war. You can't tolerate one of the realities of life, which is war is necessary at some instances, and war causes deaths that you otherwise would not see, and it causes extremely undesirable deaths. But that's how war always is. This is not a video game, okay? This is not a story. This is not an action film, okay? Wars are almost entirely dirty all the time. And I'm not even saying that it's intentional, right? Civilians die in wars all the time. People put military installations inside of cities. People build cities around government buildings, right? So this idea that, you should only do war if you can't do collateral damage, first of all, just incredibly naive. And second of all, sort of ignores the fact that enemies tend to use that type of dumb kind of wimpy logic against people who might attack them, right? So that's why you see Hamas having military bunkers under schools and stuff. It's because they know that, it is a deterrent to keep people from attacking them, even when they have, military targets that are entirely legitimate. Right. So this idea that, because they're bombing their own people, that makes collateral damage good is very poor logic.
Are all the videos that I've made about Iran.
Before U.S. intervention was even on the table, Asmon was already covering the Iran protests from the get-go. Just like for Mexico, Afghanistan, Indonesia, Spain, Australia, Turkey, and many other countries.
Doing this in Iran, this isn't like the No Kings protest here in the United States. Every single person that's on that street is putting their life on the line. Unarmed Iranian people are risking everything to fight the secret police and rid themselves of 45 years of Islamo-fascist ayatollahs. I don't really see a lot of other creators really talking about the protests at all. You would expect to see tons of people going on and talking about this. The president has gone insane, and then they started killing all of their people.
After Asmon made a dozen videos about Iran, Hasan finally started covering the protests and also admitting they were getting slaughtered.
Thousands dead as protests grip Iran. Is Iran collapsing? I think any further military intervention stands to alienate the Iranian people, and it stands to... And why did I change my mind? It's because the Iranian people were begging, screaming, so they wouldn't be mass murdered by their...
Well, also, you have to take into account that, Asmongold is not the most learned and well-read political commentators. So, him saying, America using their military might would, isolate the Iranians from the United States, or it would alienate them. It would make us seem bad. They wouldn't like us anymore. It was probably an argument born out of ignorance to a degree as well. So that's likely a factor too.
Their own government. That's the reason why I changed the opinion.
For context, An Iranian viewer of Asmon sent him this video a few weeks ago, a video which also went viral in Iran.
As many of you may know, I currently live in a country where it's not doing well. I want to give a massive thanks to Asmongold. During the last few years, whatever major events happened inside of Iran, most big content creators didn't really talk about it. Only large creators who kept talking about it consistently was Asmongold. At one point, Asmongold was trending near the top in Iran for several days. That's
crazy.
So genuinely, thank you from me and everyone else who was watching your content from my country.
I am so happy this has happened.
That's right.
Just dramatically tremendous. You know what happened? Think about how bad it is in this country that you have bombs going off and you have people saying thank you. And then after that, turn off the internet. So it wasn't obvious that there was a massive amount of people that are pushing for this.
The Iranian people don't have open internet access, but you do. Why?
Well, because I'm the voice of Iranian. So this is why I have access to internet, just, have our voice.
Hasan praises Iran shutting down protests, finds poetry in it. What?
A #1 leftist political streamer, by the way.
Just for context, this is when they started killing protesters on January 13th.
He lets it all out here. Here he is saying that, you can find poetry in 2,000 to 5,000 people dead.
You like Khomeini tweet when he responsible for killing so many people? Listen, sometimes you can find poetry in the strangest places. Yeah, Persian. I am Persian. I am Persian. I am not Iranian.
You went for
What is that even? What is that? What is his point there? And I mean, beyond making light of Iran murdering its own people, which is its own independent issue, to be sure. What was he even trying to say?
retard, man. Never go for retard.
I mean, they're fucking base, right, guys? How about that? Yeah. Sit there and act like this is like super cool. I would probably kill myself.
Yeah, I think killing terrorists is really based. I think the fucking Iranian government is full of a bunch of psychopath mass murderers. Like, I didn't really want to intervene in Iran if like the people were ambivalent towards it, right? Because like, who are we to tell them the way that they should have their government? But when you have them out there trying to get away from this regime that's oppressed them for almost 50 years, and on top of that, the regime funds terrorism.
Oh, you want to see who?
But I mean, to be fair, yeah, like that's not new though. It's not. Iranians wanting to get rid of the IRGC is not new. That's in part why they're so authoritarian, is because, you know, people don't like the state. And so, you know, they have sort of, you know, used this militarized force on the street to brutalize and kill people who protest. It's literally in their law, so that, you know, people don't rise up against them. That's in part what those laws are designed to do. It's supposed to keep insurrections and protesting and dissent at bay. It's not like all of a sudden 2025 Iranians were like, oh, I guess we don't like the IRGC now. This is something that's been around for a while. So even back then, you know, if we're using the basis of, well, Iran didn't want our help, I mean, they probably did want our help. They probably would have taken it in 2025 or 2024 if we'd offered it to them.
With the musical?
Sure. What is
they do musicals. They're very musical people.
I know. Are you being serious? I know they're singing, but I'm seeing just guns and shit. This isn't a music video, Hasan.
On top of that, the regime does.
By the way, it's really crazy that like Hasan Piker found, you know, like joy and you know, just like happiness out of videos of indoctrinated child soldiers from the Houthi rebels singing propagandistic songs about like murdering Jews. Like, that's just like kind of crazy. I feel like more people should be talking about that. It's a little wild.
Terrorism, then I think it's a pretty easy decision to do that. You know, I think Hasan, he'd be safer in a world without the Iranian government too. Like, I mean, they might play him on the TV for propaganda. They're playing Hasan's stream on Iran state TV. They're playing his stream.
Of course. Yes, I mean, he is essentially an Axis powers propagandist who lives in the Allies, in the United States of America. Insane. And I was thinking about this the other day. I saw a video of him someone was talking about Hasan Piker or whatever and how anti-American he is, which I mean we all know. But I do find it really interesting that if Hasanabi was Chinese and spent all day on his streams bashing China, it was like, oh, I'm gonna visit America and show you guys how cool it is. Like, first of all, he would never be allowed to do that in mainland China to begin with. And even if he then just like left China to go, check out LA and Times Square and then flew back to China, kind of reversing the roles of his visits to China and stuff, he would get arrested and thrown in the hoosgow. So, it is a little bit ironic that the country that he's praising so much would not allow him to do what he's doing right now
on state propaganda TV. But they probably don't agree with half of the other views that he has on things either. They're religious zealot psychopaths.
It's already unpopular and it's going to be even more unpopular, right? He's just a dumb fucking rat. He is an immoral person. He's a bad person. He's not even...
I don't see how I'm a bad person whenever you're the one laughing, talking about it being poetic, that Khomeini posts something on Twitter after he's like killing his own people.
No, but I mean, a lot of people are using this like intellectual shortcut in order to judge people. I feel like people don't really like making judgments like, oh, is this person like good or bad? They just want to put people in boxes and have a good day, right? So a lot of people online are like, oh, is this person a good person or a bad person? Should I follow them? Should I not? A lot of them are just like, oh, is he a Republican? He's a Republican. Bad person. Boo. Evil, terrible, scum of the earth. But it's like, if you're a Democrat, oh, great person, moral person, wonderful person. So, that's probably the mindset that Hasan Piker is speaking from. It's like, oh, person's right wing, of course it's got to be a horrible individual. Of course it's got to be cool and fun to like make fun of his appearance and other things that ordinarily I would condemn, but it's cool because it's Asmongold. This is just kind of like the typical left wing response to seeing anything from a right winger.
Like, how's that moral at all?
I am Persian. I am not Iranian. He's a bad person. He's not very intelligent. He's not even banking on the inability of the right to punish him later down the line for his advocacy.
Why would I worry about getting punished for doing the right thing? Why would I even think about that? He's right that there's a lot of people that are angry at me. I make my decisions on things based off of what I think is the right thing to do. I'm just going to say what I think. I'll ask you a question, right? Like, when was the last time Hasan ever went against his audience? Had a big point where he was in contention with his audience? Never.
Asmon is actually wrong here. The last time he went against his audience is when they were begging him to stop obsessing over Voldemort.
Watching Asmongold clips is now happening multiple times a day. I'm a 60-month sub and I watch all of Hasan's content, but this is the kind of thing that gets me to click away. Moderation is fine, but 1 to 2 hours per day focusing on that moron is genuinely tiring.
Okay, the one thing I will say though is I think part of the reason why this is the case is that Hasan Piker meticulously curates his audience and fan base to only be members, people who support him, right, and agree with him. So, I remember I got banned from Hasanabi's chat on Twitch. I think I'm unbanned now because Hasan got banned and so that reset his bans or whatever. But Hasan Piker banned me from his Twitch chat because he was reacting to a video by the Gravel Institute or something about affirmative action, and I was like, no, I don't like affirmative action, and I'm black or something like that. And then boom, instant ban, right? That is how you cultivate an audience who will always agree with you. So it's not like he's necessarily afraid of his audience. There might be cases, or to an extent, where he might be afraid in a limited sense, but for the most part, he's kind of in a non-pedophilic way groomed them into being ardent supporters of him, and he has curated the audience to make sure that they are people that agree with him rather than people who don't, so they don't provide very much pushback. So it's not like he just has collected this mob who force him to sway with them in whatever the ideological winds of the day happens to be blowing, but it's more like these are the people that he has picked to follow him. Of course these people are going to be in support of what he's saying because he's only picking people who agree with him.
He wants to assign ownership of the Iran war to Israel so he can protect more Islamic terrorism.
Just so we're crystal clear, Asman is against both Islamic terrorism and any Israel meddling in America.
You know, so we have to talk to Elon. Now,
For what? What do you want Elon to do?
We have to fight the fight and give direction to our non-Jewish friends.
That's the fucking problem. Yeah, that's the fucking problem. Holy shit.
I really appreciate how angry he got. That's priceless.
Our non-Jewish friends.
That's the fucking problem. Yeah, that's the fucking problem.
Priceless.
Whenever Iran, the Iranian regime, is destroyed, the world can improve and become a better place. Now, I think that he's afraid of that because it pokes a lot of holes inside of the hero worship that they have for a bunch of 2-bit dictators that kill their own people and an entire ideology that's built off of a lie.
I can't believe I'm calling Nasrallah base. I mean, listen.
You know what's actually interesting? Hasan Piker reminds me a lot of like Tucker Carlson to an extent. I mean, Hasan Piker's a little bit more extreme, but like the interesting thing about Hasan Piker is that he'll tell you that he supports freedom, but then he'll support these like extremely totalitarian regimes that are like opposed to the United States, you know? Like Tucker Carlson kind of like does the same thing too. He's not as explicit with it, but like with how he has sort of treated Russia with kid gloves, praised things that the state of Russia and the state of China have done, even when they're oppressive. It's just like, it's kind of like two sides of the same coin. I completely understand and sympathize with my left-wing friends who they don't listen to a lick of what Hasan Piker says just because he's too crazy even for them.